Hello, everyone. All right, first, I apologize for my voice. I was attacked by pollen. It's a thing, so whatever. And I'm getting over something too. I was attacked by pollen, then a virus. So I'm just going to sound like this. There's no way around it. What I wanted to talk about today was this Pinterest thing where, okay, this is very complicated. For a long time, and I'm saying a long time meaning at months at least, if not a little longer, Pinterest seems to have been testing this thing out where they're removing the button on the pin that says visit site. Now, normally when you go to Pinterest and you click a pin, there's a button that says visit the site. If you're interested, you click it, you go to the site where the pin leads you, and you learn more about that pin. And that's what people expect on Pinterest. They expect to go to Pinterest, find ideas, find things to buy, find things to help them plan events. They go there, they gather information, they save them on Pinterest on a board, and then they come back later to buy things or do whatever they're going to do. However, Pinterest had been taking that button off, and you had to click on the little three dots on the pin in order to visit the site. People didn't understand this, and I started getting messages from people who were just on my pin saying, I can't find the button to go to the site. Where is the article? I can't find it. And so I wrote into Pinterest and said, what's going on? And they said, oh, this is a new user experience we're testing out. And, so I said, well, please take me out of this test because people are complaining. And they did. So my visit site button came back. There you go. Now, we brought this up. I am in a Pinterest creator group that is an invitation only group. Don't get too excited. It's not like I've been on Pinterest for a long time. Okay. And I think that's why I was invited to be in it. And it's for people, you have to be active on Pinterest in order to be invited. So of course I said yes, because when Pinterest asks you to be in a group, you say yes, because why not? I have, however, seen a lot of people in other groups say, I got this invitation, I'm going to ignore it. And I'm like, hey, okay, that's fine. That's fine. But this is an actual group that's run by people at Pinterest. And we brought this up during one of our monthly meetings with them, which is run by Pinterest. It's not some third-party person like myself saying, this is what I think is happening. This is people at Pinterest saying, this is what's happening. Okay. So a lot of us brought this up and said, what's going on with this button? Because people are getting mad. They're leaving us messages that say, we can't find the articles. What's going on? So she took this to the engineering team because she had not seen this before, the person that led this group. And because of that, Pinterest wrote, and she told us this article is a direct result of our group bringing this concern up. So they wrote a help article a few days ago, posted it about this visit site button being a new user interface they're testing out, and that it will remove links from low quality pins or from broken links or from websites that take too long to load. I'll put the link to the article and you can read the whole thing down there. But they did an article, and she said, because of our group bringing this up, they have a team dedicated to answering questions about it, because I guess people have noticed now and they're asking a lot of questions, especially since the article came out. And they also have people who are working on it. And she also said she's not sure if this is something that will stay or if it's something that they're still testing, but they did respond to our questions by providing some more information about it in the form of a help article. Now, what I wanted to talk about with this is that I do belong to a bunch of Facebook groups and Pinterest groups for people who use Pinterest for their websites, for their blogs. And I tend to lurk in those groups because I sell a Pinterest class. I have a Pinterest class that I sell to people. And generally, groups that are set up for bloggers are run by people who are selling their own stuff. So I don't want to go into those groups and suddenly be the know-it-all who says, well, this is what they're telling us directly from Pinterest or whatever, because I know that people will creep your profile. And if the purpose of a Facebook group is for someone to sell their classes, I'm not going to go in and try to sell mine because that's just tacky. I wouldn't appreciate that in my personal groups, So I tend to be a lurker in those groups. And I've seen people in these groups talking the most ridiculous nonsense about what's going on. And I will try to pipe in every now and then and say, well, this isn't, it's a test, whatever is appropriate to respond. And I promise you, people don't want to hear it. They don't want to hear it. So the people in my Pinterest class understand what's going on with this, and they're not too freaked out about it. It's irritating if they take the button off of your pins, but it's also in that article, it says that it can come back. And like I said, go read the article. I'll put the link in the description of the video so you can go read it directly. And remember that this could just be a test. We don't know if it's going to be a permanent thing or not. But my point that I wanted to talk about with this is that there are a lot of people who are talking about this specific thing now, but this could pertain to anything. That when things change and no one is sure about it, there's always a lot of speculation. So just don't panic and don't believe everything that somebody says, because they could be missing a vital piece of information. And the reason that I brought this up today is that yesterday I did make an attempt to clear this up for some people. And it was on a forum that was not owned by a person, but nobody wants to listen. Okay. And they just, it's the same people wanting to argue and think it's because of this platform and not Pinterest, and that platform is doing something and they're doing, it's just the conspiracy theory thing. You see the tinfoil hat squad behind me? The reason they're called the tinfoil hat squad is because a lot of times when you're selling online, you need to put on your tinfoil hat in order to kind of screen out a lot of the speculation. And I'm just as guilty as anyone of it. I mean, there's no way that you can ever know 100% what's going on, basically. So when I'm talking about things that are going on Etsy or things that are going on Pinterest, I might have, like in this situation, I have a little more insider information about this one specific thing on Pinterest. It doesn't mean that I know everything that's going on at Pinterest, and I'm sure that they're not telling us everything about this, which is why I still have my suspicions about what's going on with this, which I have shared with the people in my Pinterest class, but I'm not going to, publicly speculate about that because it's not something that is true. But I'm seeing a lot of people publicly speculating about what's going on Pinterest now without the information that they really don't have, and they're making up stories about it, and people tend to make up stories to fill in gaps. So this is kind of just a long-winded ramble about the Pinterest visit site button, and if yours disappears, it doesn't necessarily mean that your site is low quality, because I really think that they're still testing this out. And I think that they will probably learn their lesson, because users are not appreciating the fact that they can't find the site. If your visit site button disappears from your pins, and you can go check, just go incognito. But the thing is that we were seeing it in different accounts. Like I was not seeing the visit site button on one person's account, but somebody else who was looking on a different browser did see it. And then the next day it came back, and then we didn't see it. It's crazy. But if you think that your traffic is being affected, write to Pinterest and ask them to remove you from the experience. And I think I talked about this once before on this channel. So this video is kind of about that, but it's also just about being careful who you're listening to, because none of us have all the answers unless you own the platform. And the platforms are not giving us all the answers because they have their own problems to deal with. And part of this, I think, is to combat some of the spam that's been on Pinterest and is kind of taking over the place. But they are working on things. I know stuff about that they've talked about they're working on. But it's hard. And when people come on and say, this is exactly what's happening, don't believe them unless they work for Pinterest. And even if they do, or Etsy or eBay or Amazon, the platforms aren't going to tell us everything, because if they do, then someone's going to game their system. So that's all. So this is kind of a rambly rant. I'm delirious a little bit. If you have any questions about this, post them in the comments. I'll put the link to my Pinterest class in there too. I'm very bad at mentioning that kind of stuff. But yeah, this is I don't want to say it's 100% a test. I think it's a test personally, but this is what's going on Pinterest right now. Pinterest changes more than any other platform I've ever been on. They are changing things constantly. They're always tweaking things. They're changing things, how things look. And you just have to get used to that and not question it too much if you want to be a Pinterest user, which I love. I love Pinterest. All right. So leave me any questions, give this video a thumbs up, and I will talk to you later.